Hi and welcome. Today I'm going to talk with you about the new SSL management capabilities of ZENworks SP4. The business problem we're trying to solve with this feature is that ZENworks uses SSL and TLS to maintain the security of the system, or the zone. It uses SSL to secure all of the communications to and from the managed devices and between the server. But managing SSL has been traditionally a little bit difficult. Our answer to this is that now within ZCC there's a certificate tool that allows you to back up and restore the internal certificate authority, move the internal certificate authority role to another server in the zone, renew internal certificate authority certificates, change from internal to external or external to internal or even external to external, and renew individual primary server and authentication satellite certificates as needed. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here I have a ZENworks SP4 zone, and you can see up here that currently I'm using an internal certificate authority. And so because I'm using an internal certificate authority, I've got a couple things I can do. I can back up the CA. If I back up the CA, it's going to ask me for a passphrase so that when it saves the file, that's going to be encrypted. I can restore the CA, in which case I'll need to pick the CA backup file that I created from the backup CA. I'll need to specify which server in the zone needs to become the certificate authority, and I'll need to specify that passphrase that I entered when I backed up. I also have the ability to view the certificate, so I can see things like when does this certificate expire, who was it issued to, those kind of things. So you can see here this one expires in about 10 years. I also have the ability to move the CA role if I have multiple certificate authority or multiple primary servers in the zone. I can select which one is going to be the CA. That way, if for instance I'm going to decommission a server, I can move the CA off that role to another server in the zone. And finally, I have the ability to remint the CA. Reminting the CA is something you would do if the internal certificate authority certificate is getting ready to expire or for some reason has become compromised. Now I also have the ability to change the CA. And so here you can see I can say change the CA. I can say yes, I want to change the certificate authority. I can pick to change to an internal or to an external. In this case I'm an internal and I'm going to go to an external. At that point then I can browse for the new certificate authority certificate. So in this case I'm going to use a Active Directory certificate authority that I've created. So I'll click browse, and I've already downloaded the certificate, so you can see here I've got this certificate. That's the trusted root certificate. I can click next, and then I can either choose to generate certificate authority or certificate signing requests myself. That way if I have them already created and I'm using a tool like OpenSSL to do that, I can just normally do that. Or I can say let the ZENworks system generate a CSR for each server. If I do that, then I specify my zone and the other certificate authority or certificate signing request fields. I can pick the key length. And then if I'm using NAT on any of my servers or they have multiple DNS names, I can check this box so that those extra DNS names get added as alternate subjects in the certificate request. I'll say next. The next thing I'm prompted for is when do you want these new certificates to go into effect? The ZENworks server can only have one set of certificates in effect at a given time. So typically what you want to do is put this sometime before the certificate's going to expire, and make sure you give yourself enough time because that new CA certificate is going to have to propagate to all of the agents. So usually as soon as you find out your certificate's getting ready to expire, let's say it's 90 days, you probably want to go ahead and start that as quickly as possible so you can give the clients as much time as possible to get there. In my case, I'll go ahead and say I want this to be effective on the 31st. I'll say finish, and now it's started the CA change process. Basically what it's doing at this point is it's importing the CA certificate and then it's creating a system update that it can use to deploy that certificate authority certificate out to all of the devices. It's also generating those CSRs that we told it to for each of the primary servers in the zone and for the authentication satellites in the zone.